Telltale continues their Batman series with episode 2 that just came out entitled Children of Arkham, and if you guys didn't watch my review for episode 1, then nothing is stopping you from clicking the annotation that I'm going to put right there. If you have missed that review, check it out right there. And in that review I did mention that from here on out I'm mainly going to talk about the story, because when I already touched upon the gameplay and the graphics, I said that if they didn't really change all that much, I'm really not going to bother mentioning them again. And for the most part, my assumption of that was kind of correct with the second episode. The gameplay was pretty much identical. There was nothing really new, but at the same time nothing necessarily too bad about it. It was the same thing. You direct Batman when he's doing combat, you press the sticks in one direction, or you press the button prompts that appear on the screen a couple times to make sure that he punches the right guy, while you also make some crucial decisions under a timer as Bruce Wayne. But it was more or less the same exact thing you already did in episode 1, so nothing really innovative happened. Now, of course, that could kind of be a bad thing in and of itself, but only time will tell when we finish the series that I'll then determine whether or not they should have innovated. I did, however, like how they blended in some of those mechanics into the environment. Whenever Batman needed to take out a guy or he needed to punch down a door, the little button prompt would appear on the door or would appear on his grapple gun. I thought that was actually kind of fun. Graphically and audibly is still great. I think that this is actually the best looking Telltale game that I've played thus far. I feel like the character models have a little bit more polish on them. There's a little bit more detail to the suits or to the character designs, and the voice work is still top notch. However, I feel like in episode 2 that came at a little bit of a cost, because just because the game looks great doesn't always mean that it's gonna run great. Sometimes we would dip from a fluid 60 frames per second to sometimes even 20 frames per second in another shot within the same scene. And the momentum and the flow and the pacing of an action sequence, particularly the climax of the second episode, would come to a screeching halt whenever we would get these like loading screens, even within the same scene. Batman will go from the heights of the rafters of one location down to the ground. That's all he would do. And right when we got to the ground, loading screen. Just breaking up the entire intensity of that scene and kind of taking me out of it. And that was a significant issue here in the episode 2. But story and characters is what triumphed overall in this second episode, because again, I mentioned that from here on out I'm going to get into some spoiler territory, because the story is what I'm mainly going to talk about rather than the mechanics. So if you guys don't want to know about the story and you haven't played episode 2, then tune out right here, right now, okay? You ready? Here we go. At the end of episode 1, we learned that Thomas and Martha Wayne, Bruce's parents, were actually involved with the mob. They had some dealings with Falcone, the mayor himself, and episode 2 luckily takes that and pushes it in a completely fresh and new direction that we've never seen in the Batman mythos. Yes, it starts off with the famous Wayne murder, but besides the fact that you can actually control and kind of navigate through the murder itself through Bruce's memories, you also have a couple of lines of dialogue in that scene that kind of make the whole thing feel new again. Having Thomas actually mention Falcone by name, saying, hey, he's making a big mistake, it's just something that you really never fathomed for Thomas to ever have said. So when we go from that point to Falcone's sudden death right when he was about to spill the beans on that big mystery by what seemed to be a toxic induced officer who we learn is actually being controlled by Penguin, who then hijacks the debate towards the end, it hooked me into a mystery that I never thought that they were going to have the balls to do within the Batman mythology, but I'm glad that they're doing it with the Telltale series, because they needed to do something new. They can't just tell another story of Batman going out there trying to capture the Joker, or trying to capture the next villain of the week. I did, however, think it was a little weird that Penguin had a big hand in the whole thing, especially when he does hijack the debate and he was the one behind the toxin. He just didn't feel like he had the intimidating factor or even the muscle to pull such a big plan off, which is why I was so glad that we actually have a new player in the game, this masked figure that's leading these children of Arkham, that is obviously the big mastermind behind the whole deal, and therefore revealing this little tape that shows Thomas conducting these illegal and very unethical experiments. And that was very riveting to watch. And big ups to how they use Selina Kyle in this series. I like the actual interpretation of Selina Kyle. I like Laura Bailey's portrayal of her, and I like that she's being woven into the story a little bit more importantly than what I had made her out to be, because I thought she was going to be in and out, be the typical Catwoman that we've always known her to be, but I feel like maybe, just like they've done with the story, they could do something fresh and new with her as well. And I'm actually interested to see where she goes off, especially after that final choice that I needed to make between saving Harvey or saving her. And I knew that she could take care of herself, because I felt like Harvey, despite having all that P90X muscle on his body, I felt like more damage was going to be done by Penguin with that giant ass lamp on him rather than Selina, who's got all this fight style down, that she was maybe able to take a bullet at least in the shoulder like she did and manage to escape. Which is actually the second thing that I think they need to start fixing is that some of the choices, or at least some of the consequence that comes with these mechanics in the game, whether it be the decisions you make as Bruce Wayne or the combat that you do as Batman, need to have some level of consequence. Besides that final decision between Harvey and Catwoman, I never saw any big decision, I never saw any kind of line of dialogue that was gonna have some big consequence or big ramification that I'm gonna have to pay for later. It just felt like, oh, I feel like saying this, so I'm just gonna choose this, and I never felt a sense of guilt or a sense of questioning my choice that I made, like, oh, should I have said that, should I have not? And that goes double for the combat, because I swear to God there was one moment where I hit the wrong button and nothing happened. It kept on going. It was going in slow motion, and I still had plenty of time to hit the right corresponding button on screen, and that just takes all the thrill out of those action sequences. And on top of that, I have one more question. Who the hell is this guy? Looks like Papa Smurf's junkie brother. So the story and the characters are definitely prevailing in the second episode of Telltale's Batman series. I just feel like Telltale should not lack when it comes to its gameplay or when it comes to its mechanics or even its presentation, and just have this series take off just because of the Batman name. I hope they don't get lazy with that, because they kept bragging that this was a brand new engine that they were using for the Telltale Batman series, but if the frame rate as well as the loading screens is anything to go by, as well as the lack of very motivated character decisions, I feel like they need to kind of step it up and at least take at least another month of development before episode 3 comes out. I'm willing to take the wait. And so for that, I give Children of Arkham a high 8 out of 10. It definitely improved on the first episode, but it was more so because of the story and the characters, not so much the gameplay. And we must not forget, we are, technically speaking, playing a video game. So if you guys did play episode 2 of the Batman Telltale series, please let me know in the comments below. What did you guys think of it? What direction do you think they're going to take? What do you think is going to happen with Catwoman or Harvey Dent, whichever one you decided not to save? And who exactly is this masked figure that's leading the Children of Arkham? My theory is that it's a female some kind, because when we saw the next time on Batman Telltale series snippets, there's a moment where this masked figure walks into this building, and it kind of has like this feminine thing going on with the arms and the movement of the walk that just made me feel like it's a female. I was quick to say Martha Kent, but then I remembered, oh yeah, she kind of got shot in the head. Don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share this video, and of course please subscribe to this channel for future videos yet to come, as well as my gaming channel. Of course, I don't just talk about video games, I play video games, and I have a separate channel for that called Abridged Plays. Please check it out. I'll post an annotation or a card somewhere. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on my Twitter account at DarkSpiderDavid for any updates on videos, as well as plenty of other bullshit that comes out of my head, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take so much care.